Hello, hello. Good evening. I hope everyone is well. Welcome, welcome. Goodness. Welcome, everybody. Come on in and have a seat, okay? Can we have a seat this evening and relax and just talk about some things today, shall we? Just want to do a sound check. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up that you can hear me okay. I want to welcome everybody. Come on in, have a seat, relax. Relax. Can you hear me okay? Thumbs up. I am here again. Your coach, Carla Nicole. Welcome, everyone. So glad you're here. So, today, if you have been watching and being a part of everything we are learning about the solar eclipse and understanding that our love goes through phases, um, and I've really been working with everybody currently on the um, the actual daunting phase of love. It isn't easy, but it is a phase no less. So come on in, have a seat, get comfortable, get your drinks, get ready, because tonight we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about tonight about the SoulAllure. So the SoulAllure is based upon um, your allure that draws you to your lover that you're with. So what does SoulAllure stand for? Well, your soul allure is where you have that connection, you have that um compassion, that continuity of care, that draw, that allure, if you will, for someone. And because you have that, you draw to them. So we're going to talk about that tonight because a lot of times we don't know what's going on. We're really in a state of confusion when we get caught up in these relationships that they get overwhelming. So come on in, have a seat, get comfortable, tell me where you're from, say hello, make sure you can hear me okay, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. The channel is Carla Nicole. Make sure to subscribe. So welcome, come on in. So we're going to talk tonight about SoulAllure. Hey, legend, welcome. Come on in. So glad you're here. Come on in, come on in. Get comfortable. We're going to talk about SoulAllure this evening. We're going to talk about SoulAllure. What does that mean? SoulAllure is your draw to your lover, who you're wanting to be with. Who are you to me? And we start to wanting to figure things out in these relationships, don't we? We want to get some clarity. So, the hard part is, are we willing to hear or not? Are we really ready to hear the truth or not? So, we're going to talk tonight about what the soul desires really in love affairs. So, one of the things about relationships is we have a desire to have a connection with someone. Or don't get me wrong, some of us like multiple partners, so I'm not excluding. I'm just going to include everyone that wants connection to someone and enjoys it. So when you draw in, you get excited, you get happy to be there, but in that relationship, oftentimes we get confused about what is it that we're doing. And if I'm honest, can I be? First of all, and we're going to be very laid back, but very, very intentional on how we're going to drive this conversation. When we really are moved with someone, don't we want to have, our ego wants to have love. We really do. We really want to have that compassion, that continuity of care. We want to have someone give a damn about us. We really want to have a real relationship. Yet our soul craves truth. I'm going to say that again because that's hard to digest, especially in our mind, especially as women. I can pick on us a little bit. As women, we say we desire, we want truth, but yet oftentimes we're not getting to the truth. We're not really okay in the truth when we're told the truth. We like to jog in our understanding of what someone's saying When they're telling the truth, we like to jog in our memory. Well, it's not really that. They're just saying that, but I really think it's this. It's like, no, it's the truth, but you're having a hard time digesting the truth. So please come on in, sit down, have a conversation, tell me where you're from, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I don't know when I'm going live all the time. I don't make it consistent always, but I do want to explain and express how important it is if we desire relationships to pull in, to draw. How do we draw what we want? Make sure to like the channel and comment too. How do we draw and find out if someone really has this desire to want to be in a relationship? Well, first off, we have to look at some things that we oftentimes don't. We don't really pay attention that in our soul, our actual ego asks these questions. I'm going to give it to you. Do you love me? Do you choose me? Do you approve of me? Are you okay in desiring me? I mean, our ego asks these questions because our ego desires to be in a relationship. And I get it, I understand that. But as your coach, I'm helping you to see this is egotistical thinking. And in that egotistical thinking, it's not a wrong, it's just what it is. So I'm helping you understand why you want to know and why you want clarity on, are you choosing me or not? We ask that, especially those who really desire to have a one on one monogamous relationship. We want to know, are you choosing me or not? Because I'm not going to waste my time. Of course, I hear that all the time. I'm not going to waste my time. Not realizing that every connection, every love affair, whether they're truthful or honest or not, you're actually getting data and understanding on how someone else thinks and kind of rotates and is vibing in a relationship. So with that said, you don't want to just center on, are you choosing to be with me or not? I call it, when our ego desires something, we get to the point where we'll have something that's pretty dynamic, and then we'll want to sit them down and ask questions. Well, what are we? What are we doing? Are you with me? What's your intentions? And it's like, wait a minute. Because a lot of times we're asking this, but the person is actually showing you that they want to spend time with you and connect with you without any type of provision or any type of status or any type of label. They're here with you. But we oftentimes want to have those labels. We want concrete. And in life, you're not going to get concrete, even if you have labels, no less. So, the reason we are asking these questions oftentimes has nothing to do with if you are having a good vibe with someone. 9 times out of 10, we're asking these questions because we want to claim something that we are in our soul and in our spirit. So that is coming from an egotistical space. What that is doing is it is killing the actual soul allure, the connection in its own originality, in its own rhythm. You are putting that love affair in a pressure cooker, trying to get it to be what you want it to be, rather than giving it no containment and allowing it to grow into what it is. We are struggling to try to make nice with what vision we have in our mind of who this person is supposed to be, going to be, or what we are, rather than giving us a moment to realize, wait a minute, let me just see. Can we just see? Can we just allow and just see where we're going? Because if I'm honest, and I'm really honest because I was really guilty of this when I was more driven by relationships, I found myself constantly asking, what are we doing? Are we together or not? And when I tell you, I started to realizing that I am taking the very thing, which is the allure that the man had for me, I'm taking it out of the relationship. Because now what I'm doing is I'm asking for what we're doing. And that is not, it's just a horrible ingredient to try to sit someone down and ask them, what are we doing? Rather than allowing for the rhythm, the patterns, and the understanding to be developed in the actions of another. So again, I'm saying why we get in these positions is because we have a position in our mind with what we think we deserve. This is coming from an ego based space. So understand we have to get away from that and sit down and realize sometimes in our love affairs, we destroy it by trying to contain it. So, in the next 3 or 4 minutes, I'm going to tell you why it seems so difficult to not get so caught up in what are we doing, but rather seeing what is it we're doing. And you can tell by actions. Hey, USA, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so we oftentimes in our love affairs, we get so caught up. We want to see what are we doing? But rather than doing that, we are killing the vibe of getting someone to want to be comfortable in their honesty to us. Let me explain to you about honesty. One of the hardest things we come to terms with is becoming honest with self. So I'm always trying to help clients and my viewers here to understand we don't have to demand someone to be our man. We don't have to demand for someone to be your lady. You want to just be who you are in your most purest, most authentic way, so that while you are walking in this journey we call life, and you are being the most authentic you can possibly be, you can actually deter yourself from trying to fit into somebody's so-called way or what they think they know of you and start to become all of you. SoulAllure measure system that I've created is going to help you to align and see what exactly are we doing, not by sitting them down and asking, but by all means we can sit down and pay attention to, oh, wait a minute, when we are together, this is how I'm feeling. Or when we're together, you seem to be right here with me, not just physically, but psychologically. We have a vibe, we have a rhythm, we have a care, a continuity of care. So with that said, we can pull out trying to give all these demands and commands because egotistically, we can get into a space of believing that we are all deserving because we're here. We're all deserving to get what we want because we want it. Okay. So let me just bring you up to date with that because we got to get away from getting so often caught up in, well, I deserve and all of this. When you get to a place and a space in time, when you start to consider yourself more than you are, you begin to having an inflated ego. What do I mean by inflated ego? So, inflated ego means that you blow yourself up to a higher energetic space in your soul, not to impress other people, but to impress yourself. Now, you're not impressing yourself because of any other reason but to be chosen by someone else. So rather than doing that, begin to envelope your love for you as you are. And if there's certain things you want to change in your personality and your physical appearance and how you are in your conduct when someone's around, when you become less demanding and all up in somebody's face and what are we doing and why aren't you trying to get married yet and what are we to each other, when you get that attitude, you start to losing the real rhythm and care that you could be receiving that far out. I mean, I'm telling you, far outstands what you're trying to do because of how you see it that you deserve. So pay attention. Now, I'm trying to teach you something. Whenever you get beside yourself and internally you try to inflate your ego, because you want to be chosen by someone else and you want to be seen as an extraordinary woman or man, you have to sit back and be like, if I have to play this role or blow up, almost like taking a deep breath and you're filling your lungs with air that's artificial just to make sure that you look big, that's not really you. But you're doing this because you're trying to make sure that other people see you as. a such and such, or I have all this money, or I have all this style, or I have all this and that. Rather than doing that, start getting authentic with you. Now, if you've been watching and you've been coming to these lives and you've been paying attention to what I've told you, there is certain exercises to soul studying. When you study your soul, you start to paying attention to what your soul needs. What are soul needs? Well, soul needs are the needs that you hold in your soul that really require for you to really feel fulfilled. The number one soul need is purpose. So I know most people are like, oh, I don't want to hear about this, especially if you've been on this channel. You know, I don't have even one show right now that I do not talk about purpose. So if you're not ready to hear about purpose, then you're not really ready to hear about soul allure or loving someone else. You got to do it first for you in order to have a resemblance of any type of care for someone else, even with your kids, even with your family, your parents, all of that. That has to start with how you love you first, which means you have to know, why am I here on the planet? Which again is one of the reasons why your soul needs have to hold you to a certain level of authenticity. Here's why I say we often want to be chosen in relationships, is because in the choosing, we want to make sure someone sees us in our greater self. Well, you have to become that. And in order to become more allure in your soul and more, fragrant and more appealing, you have to first learn to love you. And in that love for you, you have to learn your purpose and why you're here. That really helps an abundance amount of getting away from being so ego driven and why you believe you deserve to have something that maybe you're not even ready for. So here's why I say it's important that we realize the difference between authenticity and really getting away from being ego driven in what we want to love. Ego, being egotistical, is not healthy, because first of all, you're getting above and beyond and you're like, look, I deserve this and I deserve that. No, you didn't. Listen, it's not about deserving. It's about being in your wholeness and holding true to who you are. And when you hold true of who you are, you start to pull in people that are purposeful, people that are really, truly authentic and vulnerable. Don't have to go out here to seek and find someone to be attracted to them. It attracts on its own. So your soul studying and really studying what you need, that is how you become more illuminated. Remember, we have the solar eclipse. So in the full moon, it's bright as hell. So, when you see a moon that's bright and full, it is amazing to look at. Well, that's us. We're amazing to look at when we're in our fullness, in our wholeness, when we're purposeful. However, there's times, even in our own phases, we get what? Into what? A solar eclipse, right? We get dark. We start to feeling away. We start to get drawn into sadness, depression. I'm not enough. Nobody sees me. Nobody likes me. All of those things. That comes from being purposeless. Now, let me explain, because I know you get butt hurt if I say purposeless. I'm not saying you're purposeless. I'm just saying that in this time frame, you're not driven or in pursuit to find out what your purpose is. So you're spending less time on your purpose. That's what I mean by purposeless. So when you're purposeless, you get driven by other people's validation of you. You get excited by who's doing what and what does this mean, and are we what and this and that. But you'll get away from that when you start to realizing, wait a minute, I know why I'm here. So now when you get really in a calm and in a understanding of your self-loving, and you're actually sitting down and soul studying, you start to find out there's a vibrant part of you. There's a power in you. There is something extreme. You've got to understand, it took a lot to create you. I'm not talking about what your parents was doing. I'm talking about, it took a lot to become you, who you are now in the spirit and in the realm. So for that to even be, for you to even be here listening to me, for me to be here talking with you, all of that took a lot. So, what we have to remember is wanting love and wanting the soul allure to be drawn and to be an amazing connection. We have to step back and say, am I in my wholeness? Am I feeling my freedom without demanding for someone to be this to me? Because when you're starting to do that, it's because you're wanting what? You're wanting to have the label. You're wanting to have the relationship status. You're wanting to have all this and that. And that's fine. I get it. Because some of us just have that about us. We just enjoy having that understanding so that there's no confusion. However, you would much rather have clarity and understanding with who they are rather than spending more of your time trying to make sure they're your person. Get away from that and start to impact on your own soul what it takes to build in you. So, one of the things that I really wanted to tell you what our validation mistakes are is that we actually start to do an evaluation on our lover, and it's not that we're wrong, but we get, like I said, the ego starts to speaking louder than what it should be. We start evaluating our lover, and we start doing all kinds of questioning about what they're doing. Here's some. They didn't text back. Uh they don't never compliment. Also, they didn't pursue us. We don't see anything where we feel chosen. So we get an attitude. And once we start to get into this realm of like an evaluation, or you're starting to comb through the relationship with a fine tooth comb, or I can even say how we get scanned at the airport. You're being a scanner. You're trying to see, well, what's good and what's not with your lover. Because let me explain why you get into these zones. You get into these zones because you're not purposeful. You're not full on purpose. Because when you're full on purpose, you're not spending time trying to fill what someone else's lack is. You're going to be more in appreciation for them to be close in the connection you have with them. So that takes away from, oh, what are they doing and why are they here and what is this and that, but rather, I'm in gratitude that you're here. I'm really I'm really enjoying our connection. I'm really fulfilled. I feel moved because you're here. So when you have those kinds of love affairs, or you have those types of connections with someone, you start to realize you get beyond, so much so that you are not spending your time in an evaluation kind of state. You're now in an actual state of relationship where you're present. Let's talk about presence, shall we? Let me explain something to you about SoulAllure. When you really want to um, advance your SoulAllure in your relationship, which means, how can I make this more deepened? How can I make my connection with my lover more sharp, more rich, more fulfilling? Not just for me, but for my lover to feel a richness in my soul, and then feeling it is a whole different layer, because it's like, ooh, that's amazing. But also, how do I feel it from them? How do I receive? So there is a give and a take. Of course, energetically, there's a receiving and a letting go. So we have to look at this and say, well, how am I being received? Let me step out of myself for a second and look at me. How does my lover feel that I care about them? Let's put someone, share with us. How do you make your lover feel that they matter? Share. Tell us what you're doing that makes your lover feel like you studied them enough to where you actually showed them, hey, babe, I saw that you wanted this, or I saw your eyes light up and I got you tickets to this, or what have you done to move your lover to see that you really have a deep, deep care for them? Because a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And sometimes it's just studying. Studying self first helps because when we study ourselves and what we need, we have no problem or no hesitation in studying them. Matter of fact, we spend more time trying to learn, well, how can I move my lover to a newfound understanding and excitement in them? Great point. So you bought flowers. See, that's a beautiful way to show your lover, hey, I saw you, I care about you, I appreciate you for being here. Amazing. Love that. But again, we don't sit down and really look at how do we make sure that we are paying attention to our lover other than when we want to criticize or be critical or be like, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. But that comes from we become critical when we become egotistical. And in our ego, when our ego is not really fulfilled in purpose, we start to get more driven by what we're not getting because we are deserving and she's getting it, I should get it. And that's in all reality what you see on social media or what you see in the movies or what is not real. That's not real. In real love affairs and relationships, it comes into patterns. It comes into like a regular routine. And so the monotony of regular relationships, if you are not whole in your purpose and you're not fulfilled like the moon, you start to find shade or lack or why are they even here? What is this about? I mean, come on, I don't even trust that you're even here for just me. And what are you doing? So these are why the suspicions happen. This is why we start to getting in these arguments, little spats, little disagreements, because we're spending time not fulfilling our purpose. Because let me tell you something, when you spend time looking at how you are doing on the planet, how you're fulfilling other people, what you're doing and driving people on impact, I tell people all the time, anyone in my realm, I'm going to encourage you. If you come in my realm, you're going to get encouraged. It's just what I do. And I always encourage other people. Once I encourage you, keep it moving, keep it forward, push, push, push to help others to become their higher self. It's vitally important for the planet. Look at the condition we're in. We're in a mess, not just financially, but emotionally. People are in relationships they don't feel seen or cared about. This is why I'm here, because I'm here to help you see we can get it to a different level of care and soul allure if we would just take our time to soul study. Also, understand I have a soul allure measuring system that you can get a hold to me and take the test. It costs you nothing but time to take it. Once you get your score and figure out where you are, it doesn't even matter if you're single or in a relationship. If you're a couple, you could take it together. If you're just single by yourself, you could take it by yourself. It's no cost, but that you do the work and you do the study and you figure it out. But you can contact me at 8445 wisdom extension 0, or you could text it, hey, can you send me the test? I would love to take it. Text that number 844-594-7366. You can text that number and then I will email. I'll just tell you to email me, give me your shoot me your email, and I'll email you the test because this is something that we desire, not just to know about in our love affairs if we don't have one yet. But if you want to know the soul allure you hold in your own soul, that would be good before you get in a relationship. So you know, well, my soul allure measuring is here. How can I upgrade? What can I do to improve it? You can come to me and just ask me. You can shoot me the score. Hey, here's my score. Can you shoot to me what I need to work on? And then I can send you an audio of what you can do. Listen, it's a whole system. The Soul Allure measure system is already in place. If you want to know about it, it costs you nothing but time. And you and your lover can take it, or you by yourself can take it to see where you really lie in the Soul Allure measurement. Because here's the thing, in relationships, we oftentimes don't ever measure how we love self first. You go with you first, no matter what relationship you're in. I'm talking about love affairs, I'm talking about relationships with business, I'm talking about love affairs with your kids, your grandkids, all that. You go with you. So if you don't really know where you're falling in your soul allure by yourself and then in your soul allure in your relationship, how can you fix it? How do you know? You don't. And one of my clients, she's actually taken it. Her and her partner took the test. They're in a good place. But again, she wouldn't have known if she wouldn't have taken the test to see what the test score is. But again, soul allure means, how can I step outside of my ego based upon what I think I deserve to, oh, here I am. I'm not inflating my ego. I'm now more vulnerable and being in my true self and honoring that. And in that honor of myself, guess what happens? You start to loving yourself. And then you start to loving on you. And then loving someone else comes very natural. Matter of fact, you upgrade how you love someone else and how they receive it just by stopping all the inflation of ego. Here's the problem: a lot of times we think that everyone else has it easy or everyone else has it great and all this stuff. It's like, no, you got to get past what other people have. It's easy to compare, it's easy to look at them and say, ooh, I would love to have that. They're just so happy and all of that, but you don't know what's going on behind that door once they close it. It looks good on the outside, but if you know you, if you have little things that you've heard from exes, and a lot of times we don't want to look at our exes as great data on how we are in our soul when we're in a love affair and in a relationship. If we don't do real relationship autopsies, we really don't know how we do in love affairs until we seriously sit down and look at what were we doing. We don't know. We just think, well, I did a great job. Well, you're calculating that based off of what? Did you talk to your ex and say, well, what would you have rather seen me do? Have you talked to anybody? Or are you just assuming because you're the grade? That's like us taking a test and we're grading our own test for us. No, you have to look and see for you for real. How am I really? Am I really sitting down and figuring out in my past love affairs, in my past relationships, how did I handle and conduct myself? Is it very good to look back on, or is it something you need to work on, or what? Because if you don't really look there and you just assume I'm just going to not pay it, no, never mind, you're going to regret it because that side of you will show back up, regardless of how you think it won't. And then there's also times where you might be a better version of you because you're in a new relationship and a new person is bringing out a different side of you. So again, we can't just base the autopsy is not to look at and just to say, well, it's all my fault. But there are some key elements that you can look at where you can do some reinventions. You can learn to conduct a different type of way of thinking. You could start looking at things. How can I improve what I'm thinking versus how I was acting in this love affair? And then guess what happens? You start to feel like I'm more aware. I'm more willing to hear someone else's, not necessarily their eval of you. I'm not talking about that, but if they give you some feedback, you're less butthurt about everything. You don't take everything offensive. So you're able to hear, clean out the wax and hear what they're saying. And then you'll start to be able to grow, evolve, be more soul alluring in your relationship. But it's not always easy, but it can be improved. We just need to sit down and really look at self. We need to look at, how can I improve in me and be okay in who I am. And once I get real solid with this, then I can start to fall in love with my attributes, what I'm good at, who I am. Coming inside, I always say, if I'm in your life, I'm an asset. Whether you're my client, whether you're my lover, whether you're my kids, I'm going to be an asset to you. I'm not going to drain you and make you feel like this is too much. I used to be a little suffocating because I wanted answers and I wanted the now and what's this, until I started to realize I don't have to do all that. If someone really wants to be with you, you don't have to do all that. You don't even have to ask for a label. You know why? Because they're there with you. You don't have to ask anything. You don't have to check if they're in your realm or not. Because if you're not together physically, you might be on the phone a lot, or you might be messaging each other, or you might be doing video calls. There's different ways to connect to someone, but also don't please forget this part. This is key elements right here. How are you when they exit? What's their absence feel like to you? Write that down. What are their absences like to you? Because oftentimes we want to have someone up close, we want to see someone, we want to be able to talk to them and all of this, and not realize actually the absence is really going to shed some light on really how valuable they are. When someone's not here, they show you, man, I really enjoy them or they really drain me. But if we're not soul studying, we don't know the difference. Do we want someone here all the time or do we like our aloneness? We got to, I mean, this is based that we got to ask ourselves these questions. Do we want someone here all the time or do we like our aloneness? Do we like being by ourselves or are we more wanting to have that person up close and personal all the time? What is it that you want? Because some people are very needy when they are in your presence, and some people give you your space. Some people will be together in a whole house, and one's on one side of the house and one is on the other, and there's no riff or tiff. They just give each other space. And then at night, they're knocking on each other's door. Hey, it's intimacy time. Let's get it. Let's get this done. So again, it's not always, well, we have to be up underneath each other all day long. But there are couples that want to be really close and they love that closeness and they love that what my grandfather would call togetherness. Now, my grandparents were born in the 15s and 19s. So they were a little bit, I mean, I'm a little old school. But my grandfather was big about togetherness. So my grandmother and grandfather were oftentimes together. The only time they weren't is when my grandfather would drop my grandmother off at bingo, or my grandfather would go to bowling. That was their time separated and apart from each other, but there wasn't arguments when once they got back together. It was just that's your time, that's your fun, that's what you want to do. Okay. But again, we don't sit down and really give space because we want to be able to what be guaranteed. There's no guarantees in life. We don't even have a guarantee of when we're going to be here. We don't have a guarantee of our tomorrows. We don't. But we want to get a demand out to a lover. You got to tell me what we are and what we're doing. It's like, no, honey, you don't want to do that because love affairs evolve. They also go through soul eclipse. So they go through times when they go into these shades and phases and darkness. It doesn't mean it's over. It just means it goes through a phase, the solar eclipse. And that is why I keep trying to teach everyone understand this. Don't take it personal, gravitate to it. Understand in the absenteeism, it's okay. Find something more refreshing to invite the absenteeism. We spend a lot of time always upset. Well, he's not here, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and I'm bored and I'm drinking myself to death. No, think of something and start to plan for your alone time to do some soul studying. Take a walk, figure out some things about your soul and what your soul needs, and then get away from getting so overly consumed by what they're doing or what they're not. In their absence, think about it. How do you miss them? Do you miss them or do you not? Are you in gratitude when they're in your presence or are you going through their phone? Look, I'm a truth teller, so I'm not going to be on here just lying to everybody, not knowing that I don't know stuff that's really going on when they're in your presence. They go in that shower and you all in the phone. That's, come on. We can't be this. We can't do this. We have to allow someone to have their autonomy. Their autonomy meaning they have to have their individualism. They have to be able to be in their own space. It is okay for them to not be all about you. I mean, I've seen people get upset over them working or over them doing something that they enjoy. And I'm like, well, I don't understand that. That don't make sense. It's not like they're doing something to avoid you. They're doing something to uplift them. So come up with a way to uplift you. Figure out a way to get away from dreading their absence and start welcoming it. Come up with a plan to be like, you know what, I'm really happy that you're giving space, and I'm not taking it personal. I actually invite that because I realize that in your absence I can really think and see you. What do you leave when you leave in memory? I mean, we're so self-absorbed. A lot of times we start getting into a suspicion. And I tell any of my clients, and they all know, if you are coming over here telling me your suspicions, I will send you on your way and tell you you need to be spending your time on your soul studying. You need to be doing something that's going to impact other people. Go over to the homeless shelters or something. Do something productive, because this is counterproductive what you're doing right here. And then what that does is that uplifts the spirit. It gets the spirit out of feeling like it's not enough, because we all have our moments. I'm not perfect. I got my own stuff. I might feel a way about my partner not around, or, well, it just seems like that's going to be forever, or, I'm not perfect, but I'm helping you to see how we can improve. And like I say, I always welcome you to bring in your insight, your situations. If you got questions, I welcome those, because again, there's times where people have learned some things about them that they didn't realize in just being here and hanging out. And it's not like this is difficult. It's just really at this point, we want to be more, I would say, in a soul allure in our love affairs, because when our love affairs are on the up and it's doing well, we actually are better towards our children. We're better towards people. We don't have as much attitude when the home life is cool, when we're having great relations with our man or our woman. We're in a better space to be even appreciated outside of the relationship. So that's why I'm trying to help you guys to conduct yourselves and learn what is it inside the relationship beyond what we want it to be. Let's look at how important the truth is in the relationship. And now hear me out. In love affairs, this is so important. Authenticity is so important. Authentic self, being on the uprise in your soul, always makes it more enjoyable, because your lover can now get to know the real you. You've heard when people say, well, I'm the real me around this person, or I've evolved. I'm not trying to hide who I am. I say everything. I don't hold back anything. And that's because, oh, why? Well, because you're enjoying being who you are. And in you being who you are, you're starting to feel a wave of, oh my God, I feel this jolt of happiness, because you're not having to hide behind a version of you that is not really truly you, but you try to fill yourself up with all this inflated ego because I want to prove that I'm deserving. Well, that don't work. I'm here to tell you it does not work. So, with that said, please, by all means, think about what I'm telling you. One of the things that I want to leave with you guys tonight is this. This is one of the really good questions to ask. Why do so many people leave relationships the moment that they stop feeling validated? Why? Do you know? I already gave the answer earlier, but I'm just curious to hear your point. Just because I say something doesn't mean you might be an outside thinker, and you might have something additional you want to share. But again, when you're so bombarded in your soul and spirit about what someone else is not doing, you tend to feel a way about what you really are commanding in the love affair. So we want to step out of being so overwhelmed with that and start to realizing that, you know what, we can build, we can create a renewed relation just by us being a little more truthful. Now, I know you have heard so many people talk about this, but having uncomfortable conversations. Now, uncomfortable conversations aren't authentic until you have it with you first. I'm going to say that again. Uncomfortable conversations with your lover is not going to be as authentic until you have the real hard knock authentic conversation with you and you learn to tell yourself the truth. So with that said, you have to step back and really come to terms with some of the things that you deceive yourself about you. And, sometimes we'll say, well, I don't tell lies. I'm perfect. I'm a good person. And, on the back end, you're doing all kinds of sneaky stuff. You're doing stuff that you know is going against the rhythm of the relationship. You don't feel confident that this person really loves you. And that's because you haven't said everything to where you are only giving them a half truth of who you are, because you believe that if I tell them all of that, they're going to flee or they're not going to love me the same. And what I always say is, you've got to tell the truth to you first. And then you have to hold into the truth and then come to terms with it in your soul first. There's no way you're going to get an authentic love affair if you're not honest with you first. So that is most of the time the major issue in our conduct, in our soul allure measurement. We might hold back some things about ourselves, not to them, to us. We know everything about what we went through. We know everything about what we dealt with. And we don't want to share certain things because we don't want to tell them, well, I don't want to say I did that, or I want to hold back this. Well, when you hold back certain things that you know can affect the rhythm or the intimacy or the flow of your relationship, then I'm telling you now, in that you are causing for that soul allure to be not as sharp, not as rich, not as fulfilled as it could be. So you have to learn to come to terms with your own honesty to you. When you come to terms with your own honesty to yourself, you start to realizing, like, man, I'm really kind of enjoying that I could be so upright with me. And what happens when you have that happen is the truth of you to yourself becomes more attractive. And then you're going to find out that a lover that really knows who you are will get to love you in a wholeness and have a soul allure that's more of a better match. It's not all about what you look like, because I say all the time, look, we ain't have nothing to do with this. What we look like has nothing to do with anything we had to do with. But our upkeep and how we take care of ourselves, yes, but that's all internal. How we eat, what we're doing is how we're exercising, what kind of love affair are we in, how are we parenting. Those things take a match on this. Yes, we begin to age and not look so well when we're not sleeping and resting well. And so those are the reasons why we start to age not as gracefully, but we start aging because we're not really in a place where we're caring about what you don't see, which is you internally, your soul, your living soul, what's inside this body. And that is behind the rib cage and all that, that is holding inside of you. So we want to make sure we're honest with that first. We will become more grounded and more excited about being in our affairs when we stop getting so caught up in what we're not. But we have to be okay in our desire to being who we are. And again, we will start to see, I say this all the time, we will start to see how many people will fall in love with the authentic self of you. So many people would much rather know the real true version of who you are. When you start being more vulnerable and more um candid with people, of course, that you can trust to be that, you'll start to realizing, like, man, it feels good to kind of, I've been carrying this load a long time. Well, yes. And in that carrying of those things, you realize that I didn't really have to do this. I didn't really have to carry it this long, but I did. And so now I'm wanting to feel a freedom in my love affairs. And you can now. So you don't have to feel a way about that. You can start to feel free, but you have to practice with doing this for you first. You have to practice being honest with you. This is one of the hardest parts about us is our soul craves honesty. But the craving of honesty isn't just from the other person we're involved with. The craving of the honesty is with you, to you. And once we get soul settled in that, then we'll start to evolve. We'll start to be more upfront. We start to not holding and biting our tongue at every little thing we don't want to share because we don't want them to know this and know that. That's a lot of work. Be you and your authentic self. Stop trying to curtail certain. I don't want to say this. I don't want to say that. That's exhausting. That is like taking a whole lot of energy, spending most of your time hiding, and then you wonder why your love affairs aren't working. Well, they're not working because you're not truly who you are. You're only bringing out the representative or the person you want them to see you as. You're not being your true self in your own honest self or in your fulfilled soul. So, again, I'm so glad you're here. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share this video, and go back and watch it again because I did provide a lot of information on this. I want you to realize soul studying is so important. You want to take your time with it. You want to spend time with understanding and understanding in your soul what it takes to understand your measure of SoulAllure. Like I said, you can get your report. Just text this number 844-594-7366, or if that's hard to remember all those numbers, it'll be in the chat. Or you can, or just remember 844-5 wisdom. You can text that number and say, hey, I would love to get my SoulAllure measurement. I want to know where I'm falling at. It doesn't matter if you're single or together or whatever. It doesn't matter because you need to know how you hold resonance in relationships and love affairs. My only thing, like I tell everybody that takes these tests, don't rush through them. Don't hurry the answers. It's 25 questions. This is not something you just, oh, I'll just check whatever. You're cheating yourself. You want honesty, I'm going to give it to you. So take your time with the test. Breathe in from the pit of your core. I work with my I have young clients. They're young boys. I have like two, maybe three young boys that I work with their breathing techniques to help them to learn about, resting assured that they're okay when they go through bullying or they go through challenges at school or things like that. I work with boys. I work with kids, period. But my boys, my daughter says I'm a boy mom, but of course she's going to say that because she's the first. But anyway, I have a son and she thinks that he's the favorite, whatever she's got going on. I don't know. But anyway, I work with young boys on their breathing technique. And so I always tell anyone that knows me, before you take this test, you have to really sit down and take your time with them. So breathe in deep from your core, and your core is right by your navel. Take that breath from the core and bring it all the way up to your esophagus. Hold it and then breathe out ha, and do that to relax your rush to just get all the right answers, because there are no right or wrongs here in these tests. These tests are made for you to take them so you can learn about you. This isn't about a right or wrong. This is just where you're landing at so that you can see where you can grow and where you're actually running a real good way. But don't get married to it, because depending upon the season, it might be a completely different score the next time you take it. It just depends on you. We are constantly evolving. I mean, really, we're always changing. So in that change, you have to understand that we might have moments where, oh yeah, we're good and everything's fine. And then we go through a solar eclipse and it's looking like, ooh, we got some work to do. Well, yeah, because you're changing. You evolved into a shady phase here. And now you can't even see eye to eye. You can't even hear each other. That doesn't mean it's over. That just means it's a phase. So again, take the SoulAllure test so you can see what phase you're in, how you measure, so you even learn something about you today. I'm always going to give you something and gift you something that you can use tonight. I gave you the breathing technique. You can text that number and get your score for your soul measure. And listen, it really serves you well to know, how do I improve? How do where Oh, I didn't realize that. And sometimes it's blind spots. Sometimes it's in our peripheral vision. We don't see certain things that we do or that we don't realize impacts our love affairs. We do certain things we don't realize that causes distress, misunderstandings. We might be a little bit difficult on some things. We might want answers that we don't really need answers to sometimes. And I tell people this too. Do you guys remember that show called Unsolved Mysteries? I used to love that show. You get all up into the screen trying to hear about what's the unsolved mystery going to be. Sometimes you're going to have an unsolved mystery in your love affair. You're not going to have the answer. It's just what it is. You're not going to have the answer. But that doesn't mean you don't have a good relationship. There's just certain things you won't know. You won't get everything out of someone else. My father used to always say, the only person you really know is you. And he's right to a degree. But now I'm having people study their soul, because people will see, I mean, there's a lot of people that still see themselves as their younger version of self. They don't know the current version of themselves. They still see themselves as 6 or 7 years old. They never really look back to see, well, what version am I? That's why the soul study is so important, for you to see what level you're at, so you know where you're landing at in this lifetime. We have to do introspection. We have to learn inside ourselves. And really, to be honest, in order for us to have foresight of where we're going, we have to have insight of where we've been. So, I mean, again, this is why I share with you guys how to empower you, because I know it's not easy. We want love, we want relationships, but the best love is the ones where there is truth, there's honesty, and there's welcoming of it. And there's also less feeling away. There's less constantly feeling like, offended. So if you just allow yourself to, get away from being easily offended and start realizing that they're human. We are human. We're going to make our mistakes. Our souls have been abandoned. We have had soul abandonment. We have done a lot of things, but we got to come out of feeling like a victim and start realizing, what can we do so that we can evolve and be in our higher self? How can we build a newfound understanding of soul so that we can actually enjoy being here while we're here? Tomorrow isn't promised. We have to be in gratitude for being here. And also, don't forget, it comes a time in love affairs where the solar eclipse are hit, and the solar eclipse are gradual. They don't happen abruptly. They're gradual, so you don't see the eclipse coming. And it's the little subtle things. Remember, I talked about that in the daunting phase of the solar eclipse. There's little tiny little clues that happen where we get disconnection. So don't get overwhelmed. Just understand, we're in a space where we're not vibing very well. So let's try to meet at a better place, not with them, but with ourselves. So we got to study our soul. We have to be purposeful. We definitely can't not know our soul allure measure. Again, make sure to check. All you got to do is text the number 8445 wisdom and say, I want to know my soul measurement. Here's my email, and you will get that email to you. Like I said, I want to see everybody winning. I would much rather spend time on us working on studying our own soul so that we can have a better rapport in our affairs, because really we end up becoming better people, not because of the love affair itself, but because of the studying of self and our soul. That's why we end up becoming better, more congenial, more nice, more kind, more in gratitude, because we are actually in this mode, in this lifetime, we're feeling like, "Ooh, I'm really glad to be here. I'm glad you're here." We'll even speak to strangers. "Hello, how are you today?" Hold the door open. That is leaving by by droves. We're not having the kindness anymore. So my job is to be here and gift you with, here's some things and measurements you can use today. We don't have to wait till tomorrow. You can use today to just take a look at you, study your soul. We only got one. Study it. It loves to be studied. It's glad, it's in gratitude. It's here. So we can't just deny it's not here. It's here. Let's be in gratitude for that. So, like I said, breathe in deep for me and just go from the pit. Breathe in deep from the core of your stomach. And like I said, you hold it, you go all the way up to your esophagus, hold it, and that's your breath of life. I told my young little client today, he's 9. I told him, I said, listen, you don't remember, but when your mom had you came out of the womb and the doctor spanked your butt and you took in that breath. That's your breath of life. That. So in our breath of life, we need to be willing to embrace that breath. It's the most empowering thing we have while we're here. So be in gratitude for it. Be glad you're here. Be in gratitude for being on this call. You are special to even be here. Like I tell you guys all the time, I'm here because I'm supposed to be. This is my job. I'm supposed to be here to gift people hope, help them with understanding life isn't over. It's just life might be in a daunting phase. But we have to realize that we got to do the work. And the work is we got to study our soul. We got to take our time and embrace our soul. Be in gratitude while we're here. Stop all the rigmarole in the relationships and start being more alluring in your relationships with you first. Don't forget what I always say, put the oxygen mask on you first, like you do in the airplane. Oxygen mask goes on you first, which means you have to take the deep breath, hold it, and ha. That helps to breathe the breath of life. Do that before sleeping and resting. Do that every single day. Be happy you're here, honey. Because there's so many people that's not in good places. They're not. They're not in gratitude. They're angry about everything. This is my last little story and I'm out of here. One time my dad called me. This my father's been passed on since 2022. But we have little things that we always bring up. And one of the times my dad called me and I had just bought a bottle of Gain. Now, being this was before I got married to my second husband, and being that I had this bottle of Gain at the time was not cheap, but it was like my favorite detergent. And I happened to sit it on the for some kind of reason, I sat the bottle of Gain on the edge of the washer, and all I remember was the Gain tipped over and it splattered all over my laundry floor. My dad happened to call me and he's like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, "Hey, Pop." And he's like, "What's going on with you?" I'm like, talking about the game. Like, well, I was over here and this and that, and then I went and bought the game, Dad, and then the whole bottle fell on the floor, and blah 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 blah. And he's like, "Why every time I talk to you, you're mad about something?" And I thought, well, I don't know, but right now I'm angry about this. This game was very expensive, and I'm going on and on and on about the game. He's like, "You're never happy about nothing. Every time I talk to you, you're mad about something." And one thing about my dad, he didn't have a lot of words, but when he would say something, I would take it in and listen to it. So I'm like, "Ooh, I must have an attitude for him to have assessed that every time he talks to me, I'm angry about something." So then I created a mantra called Smile. And this is my intention for the planet to really take on my smile mantra for real. I was doing really well with it because I was having smile and sip parties. But SMILE stands for study, meditate, inspire, laugh, and elevate every single day. Well, when my dad told me he noticed every time he talked to me, I was always angry about something, I decided, well, you know what? I'm going to start being more aware. Self awareness really helps us to change, right? First of all, hearing that it wasn't conducive at the time. I'm already going through an anger at this point. And then you mentioned all I ever hear is you angry about something. Now you're really overly angry because you're angry he even brought it to your attention. So the anger just goes in this loop. So I'm looking at my dad like, really? Really, Pop? So you are now saying you're judging that I'm always angry about something. Well, every time I call, you're mad about something. Like, okay. So what I decided to do is create my mantra called Smile. He was the reason I decided to create it. And I now every single day laugh. I'm not talking about ha ha. I'm talking about belly laugh, like laugh to tears, because I realized that when we take life so seriously, and it's not about the gain. Was it? Was it really the gain that made me angry? I mean, I would have been frustrated because I got to mop it up, but it didn't take all that to be angry all over the place about gain. I mean, you just get another bottle or whatever. But I learned that the gain itself was symbolic of just not being okay with change, not being okay with errors or unexpected events. And I came to realizing, you know what? That's what I need to work on. I need to stop being so angry all the time. I need to stop getting butt hurt about somebody's judgment of what they see of me and start being a little more okay with my madness when I'm upset. And so I ended up saying, okay, Pop, I got you. So now I actually schedule my time to laugh every day. I laugh, belly laugh. Do the same thing. That's another thing of my coaching. My coaching clients know I'm like, did you smile today? They'll be like, "Yes, coach, I smiled today." No, I'm asking because I don't know. It's not looking like you're wanting to smile because you're feeling away about your man or your girl ain't doing this and that. I come home, she ain't cooking, whatever. You are all looped around that. Let's get some laughter going. Let's laugh about something. Tell me something funny. And then when I do this, I realize that it actually elevates me out of the frustration. It helps me to restore feeling a way about life. When we take life so serious, when we get all caught up in stuff, we lose our joy in it. This is what he was basically saying to me. You're losing your joy spending so much time angry about something you can't fix now. It's already spilled on the floor. What getting angry about it, is that fixing it? Like, no. Okay. Dad didn't yell, he didn't scream, he didn't cuss. That wasn't my dad, but he did give it to me like, "Well, you're doing all of this and you still gotta mop it up." Yes, but you can't fix that it's on the ground. That's just what it is. So accept what it is, get off of being angry, and get back to joy of life, man. Time is of the essence. We gotta be in gratitude while we're here. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm so glad you guys stuck around with me, and some of y'all lasted the whole time. Listen, I am in complete and total gratitude for you all to be here, and I hope any of these things that helped you, you can come back next time I come on and just share with me how whatever I said helped you. Because again, this is why I'm here. I'm here to help you, and in the midst of that, I get my free choices. I also get to help seeing how, oh, I didn't do too well that day. I have to still check on me because I'm not perfect. I still have my stuff. So I gotta look at me too. So again, everybody, I'm so glad you hung out with me this Sunday. It's Sacred Soul Sunday. So if you're not following me on Patreon, I do have one. Patreon is Carla Nicole. Patreon.com/ Carla Nicole. I also have a Substack now. It's Soul Eclipse. So you can find me on Substack. You won't see me on there, but you will see Soul Eclipse. And I have a ton of stuff on Soul Eclipse. Support my pages, man. I'm here giving you everything I got while I'm here. I am not laying off the gas. And also, I have a YouTube channel, which of course you're a part of here, and a Facebook. So you can find my Facebook under Carla Nicole Wisdom Coaching Services. You can join my page and follow it. And like I said, I have a lot that I'm really building. I'm just in gratitude you all are enjoying what I'm helping you with. And don't hesitate to just really support, because this is what I do. You know what I mean? I just enjoy it. I enjoy helping other people. And I hope you're enjoying the channel. Like I said, when you subscribe, it tells me I'm doing what I need to do. So don't forget to do that. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And don't forget to like and comment, and don't definitely forget to share the video, because the more you share, the better I get on the algorithm. So more people can benefit from what I'm saying. So don't forget that either. And like I said, I am your coach, Carla Nicole. Don't forget to have a wonderful evening. And you know what? Just remember what I said. Just stay on top of being okay with you and your truth. Don't try to inflate your ego, because really your soul wants the truth. It's your coach, Carla Nicole.